Welcome to the Christian Success Show, the show that helps you achieve more success in every area of your life. I'm your host, Wes Young. Thank you for joining me today. The Christian Success Show is brought to you by Christian-Success.com. Visit Christian-Success.com to join the community and check out the special $7 deals designed to help you achieve big success in specific areas of your life. If you want personal help achieving more success, you can find out how to work with the top Christian life, success, and business coach and consultant at Christian-Success.com/coach. Now, let's get started with today's show. Today's show is what the Bible says about money. And I want to talk about money and success and how it what the Bible says about it and what we as Christians can learn, because there's a lot of misconceptions about what the Bible says about money and how Christians are supposed to treat money. And I want to start with a couple questions, and then I'm going to cover some Bible verses that talk about money and success. The first question is, do you relate success with money? The fact is that most people relate success and money at least a little bit, because in order to do everything we want to do in life, or to be considered successful, however you define success, you have to have the ability to do those things, and a lot of times that requires a certain level of finances or money. So the first thing I want to say is there's nothing wrong with relating success with money to some degree, but you also have to keep in mind that success is not only money, and really money is only a tool used to buy things or have experiences or get services. It's not really the money that makes you successful, it's what you can do that the money allows you to do. Do you need more money to feel like a success? And this is a trap that many people fall into. And that's why some of these Bible verses we're getting ready to cover are so important, because they give us kind of a roadmap to avoid some of these pitfalls. Because the trap that many fall into is they're convinced that if they just make more money, they'll be more successful. But what they find is that they fall into the loop where they make more money and they feel successful for a little bit, but then it's not enough and they have to make more money. And eventually they get into this thing where they're never satisfied. And that's a dangerous place to be. The third question, before we get to the verses, is working toward more money bad? Now, understand what I said there is working toward more money bad. Working's the key word there. And as a Christian or anyone else, working toward more money is not a bad thing, because you're actually doing something. You're not sitting around just hoping or wishing or praying that money's going to be dropped in your lap, because that's not what the Bible says about money. The Bible doesn't say that God's going to give you money. It does say that as Christians, God is going to take care of our needs, but that does not say He's going to take care of anything else and just give us something. It also doesn't say that we can sit around and do nothing. We have to actually put in the effort and work to get the things we want. And that's where success and money tie in. If we're working towards more success and more money, it's much different than sitting around wishing for something. So let's get into some Bible verses here. The first one's Proverbs 13:11. Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. This is a very important verse when you're talking about success and money. It clearly says that if you get wealth by labor, it's okay. See, it's not saying that having money or getting money is bad. What it says is if you get it without working for it and without trading equal value or something of value for it, then it's going to be diminished. But he that gathereth by labor or in exchange of good value shall increase. Once again, wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. That's a big verse if you want to be more successful. The next verses are in Proverbs 3, 9 and 10. Proverbs 3, 9 and 10. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. When this was written, to be rich or well off financially, you would have a lot of livestock, your barns would be filled, and your wine, you might have wine presses and they'd be producing new wine. So when it says, so shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine, that means successful and financially successful. So let's go back to the beginning of that verse. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. A lot of people think this just means tithing. And while I agree that it does have something to do with tithing, I think you're missing something if that's all you think this is about. When we honor the Lord, that means we're doing something that we can be proud of. It doesn't always mean that we're working specifically on something to do with God or the church. It doesn't mean you're out and you have to passing out tracts or witnessing or something like that 24 hours a day. But what it means is that you're doing something that you're not ashamed of. Once again, you're exchanging something of value for more resources. So honor the Lord simply means live the way you should be living, do the things you should be doing, and then you can build wealth and build success without the guilt because you're actually working towards it. Okay, the next verse I want to cover is Matthew 25:21. Matthew 25:21. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. This is part of the story of the talents, and in this case, this man was given a little, and he looked over it well, and he was rewarded by being given more to look over. And often that's how you need to look at financial success and building wealth. It's okay to work for wealth and accumulate wealth, but you also need to use a part of that wealth to do things for other people and for the Lord. I'm not saying you have to be poor. I'm not saying you have to give away everything. I'm not even saying you need to give away half of what you have. But when the Lord blesses us, we need to make sure we use some of the money that He's given us to bless others. And I think that's a big thing here with this verse. He says, Well done, thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. So if we want more, we have to be faithful with what we have. We need to be thankful for what we have, and we need to use it in the best way possible. That means not throwing money away and not wasting money when there are others in need. Once again, I'm not saying you have to give away everything. If you work for the money, then you deserve the benefits of the money. But if you do with some of your money, good things and do things that the Lord would be proud of, then He will trust you with more things. The next verse is going to be 1 Timothy 6:10. 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is the root of all evil. which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. This is one of the most misquoted verses in the Bible, because many people say money is the root of all evil, but that is clearly not what this verse says. The verse says the love of money is the root of all evil. And then it backs that up by saying, which while some coveted after, which means some people covet money, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So money is not evil. Money's just a tool. The love of money is the evil. And when you covet money, that is where you err from the faith. So, let's get back to the first verse I covered. When you work for more money and more finances and more success, it's not a coveting. Yes, you want more money, and there is a fine line, but you need to make sure you're not focused only on money and coveting what others have. You don't want what others have. You want to build your own success and your own wealth. So make sure that you love God and other people and not money. Money's just a tool, but money's not evil. The love of money, which is that which is evil. Don't covet money. Work for your money, and you'll be just fine. The next verse, Deuteronomy 15:6. Deuteronomy 15:6. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee, as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. And in today's society, especially in this country, we borrow for everything. There are very few people that are debt-free, and that leads to a lot of problems. Debt leads to a lot of problems. And usually by the time we figure out how many problems there are, we're so deep in debt that we spend the rest of our life trying to dig out. But this is one of two places I'm going to cover today in the Bible where it suggests that you should not borrow. So keep that in mind. We need to figure out how to do things without getting deeper in debt. It says, thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, because as it says, thou shalt lend unto many nations. So how can you figure out how to be a lender and not a borrower? And you need to stop borrowing right now, if at all possible. Pay down your debts, because once you get out of debt, it gives you a lot more financial freedom. The next set of verses are Philippians 4:11-13. Philippians 4:11-13. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. I know both how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. That's a fairly famous group of verses by Paul, and what Paul's saying is that he has learned to be at peace whether he is doing great or whether he's struggling. And that's a key for us even today, that as Christians we need to learn to be at peace with where we are. That doesn't mean we can't want more and work toward getting more, but we have to learn to be thankful for what we have and where we are, and be content whether things are going great or whether things are not going so well, because I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Okay, the next verse is Matthew 6:24. Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon was the word for a false god of money, or basically it's worshiping money. And this goes along with a verse that we covered earlier, that when you love money more than God, then you're in trouble. It's okay to work to get more money, but we need to make sure that we love and serve God first, because you can't serve God and money at the same time. And the final verse I want to go over today is Proverbs 22:7. Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. And that is the other verse I wanted to talk about today that talks about borrowing and lending. If you're a borrower, you're servant to the lender, and the rich ruleth over the poor. So we want to make sure that we start putting ourselves in a position where we are not the borrower, where we are the lender, or the one that is not the servant to the lender. You don't have to be a lender, but you want to avoid being the servant to the lender, because we're supposed to be servants to God. I want to sincerely thank you for joining me today. I know that you have plenty of options on how you spend your time, and it's an honor you're letting me help you achieve more success in your life. God bless you. Don't forget to check out the special $7 deals designed to help you achieve more success in specific areas of your life at Christian-success.com. If you want personal help achieving more success, you can find out how to work with the top Christian life, success, and business coach and consultant at Christian-success.com/coach. Have a blessed day.